In this example, we're given a function f of x that equals x squared plus 4x minus 7, and g of x equals 3x plus 1. And we need to find the quotient function f divided by g evaluated at -1. So the simplest way to do this is to use the definition of the quotient function. The quotient function f divided by g at -1 is just going to be f evaluated at -1 divided by g evaluated at -1. So now we need to figure out f of -1 and g of -1. So over here, I'm going to figure out f of -1, the value of the function f evaluated when x equals -1. So it's going to be -1 all squared. I'm substituting a -1 in for each of these x's, plus 4 times x, which is -1, minus 7. So order of operations, do the exponents first. -1 times -1 is +1, plus 4 times -1 minus 7. Now do the multiplication next, so I get 1. 4 times -1 is -4 minus 7. And now we do addition and subtractions, just working from left to right. So 1 minus 4 is -3. -3 minus 7 is -10. So I figured out the value of the function f at -1. Now I need to figure out the value of the function g at -1. So up here in the definition for g, I'm going to put -1 in for this x. So I'm going to get 3 times x. So it's going to be 3 times -1 plus 1. So multiplication first, 3 times -1 is -3 plus 1. And what's -3 plus 1? It's -2. So I figured out the value of the function g at -1. So now all I have to do is plug these two answers in up here. So the value of f at -1 is -10. So I get -10, excuse my bad handwriting, divided by g of -1, which is -2. So the quotient function f divided by g evaluated at -1 is equal to -10 divided by -2 is +5. So my answer is +5.